You are now listening to Podcast Like a Champion Today, an OU football podcast produced by fans for fans. Now, here are your hosts, Noah, Joe, Johnny, and Christian.
All right, what is up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Podcast Like a Champion Today. We are rolling into week 7 of the college football schedule here. We're obviously coming off of OU Texas. Wasn't a great game for us, but if you want to hear all of our thoughts on that, go back and listen to our post-game pod. We do one of those following each game. They come out usually Sunday morning, and so you're able to listen to those and hear us actually break down the specific game and what we thought. As always, whatever platform you're listening to this on right now, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, through Anchor, whatever it is that you listen to, go ahead and leave a 5-star review for us. Leave a comment on what you like, maybe some questions you have, and then share this with your friends. Let other people know about this. If you know anyone who likes OU football and likes to laugh a little bit and have some fun, share this podcast with them. If you're tuning in today because you saw us announce that we were doing an interview with Austin Seibert, make sure you listen to our whole podcast. That'll be in this episode later on. And so we are going to jump in on that as well. And so make sure that you listen to that. Austin was super cool. Gave us a lot of good information, a lot of funny stories. Definitely a good guy. So, man, we were super excited about that. And so moving into this week, we're going into Kansas. Johnny, let us know what are we expecting here for this OU Kansas week?
Yes, sir. You know, Noah's been calling them the Mighty Jayhawks this season, and I think that's a good name, the Mighty Jayhawks. But you know what? I just love football. I'm excited for this game no matter what. But you know, there's some reports about Jalen Daniels possibly being hurt. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But even if Jason Bean is playing, Jason Bean is he's a gamer as well. So Kansas has a good backup quarterback. I'll just say I think he's better than Davis Bevell. So, you know,
that's a real hot take right there.
We'll see what the game plan is like. Obviously, I would love if DG was able to play, but I don't think that their defense will be able to keep up with our offense, even if DG isn't playing. Honestly, I think
what? Are we going to run the Braden Willis Wildcat the entire game?
Here's the thing. Kansas defense is not like Texas defense. Like they don't have players like that. I think we could just run the ball down their throat and have a game with that. But we'll see how it goes. But I mean, what do you guys think? Since you have so many high opinions, apparently.
I mean, we weren't able to score a single point last week without Dylan Gabriel, so I am hoping and praying that he can play this week. If he plays, I do think we have a chance to win. I will say, you know, OU, we've been down lately, and I want to see us compete. I mean, like I've been saying the last few weeks, I want to see us go out there, and I want to feel like I'm proud of the guys at the end of the day, win or lose. But defensively, I mean, all around there's places where we need to clean up. But what I really want to see is defensive linemen getting off blocks. We get tunnel vision and we get stalemate with the guys in front of us, and then we can't get off blocks and make plays. So that's something that I want to see going into the week. I want to see some more offensive diversity, and I want to see just some of that. So, yeah. What else do you guys think?
For me, man, I just need to see, like you said, the D-line disrupt some plays. I saw Gabe Eichert tweeted out just some stats of Big 12 defenses. And our defense has allowed the most rushing yards in the Big 12 against them, the most touchdowns, the most rushing yard average per carry. And so we've literally we have the worst rushing defense right now in the Big 12. And so I need to see them do something, disrupt plays, get in there. I would love to see, I don't know if it's going to happen with the way the coaching staff's working this year. I would love to see Jaron Kanak and Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis and some of those guys actually just get in the game more, just because whenever they were in against Texas, it seems that they disrupted plays just with their physicality and, just the almost like, I don't know how to say it, the recklessness that they have of just like, I'm just going to go in here and try to make a tackle and try to go crazy. And so I'd love to see that. And then obviously we got to have Dylan Gabriel back. If we don't, I think we're in for another tough week of offense. I don't think the Braden Wills Wildcats not going to surprise Kansas this week. They've had time to look at it and prepare for it. So I'm hoping we got something better than a Davis Bevel quarterback right now. So
I'll just say this. If Dylan Gabriel can't go and it's Davis Bevel again, I'm glad we're wearing these new alternate uniforms. Nobody will be able to recognize us.
Absolutely.
All seriousness though, the jerseys are cool. I'm not one that typically likes the alternates. I think the Bring the Wood ones are just, I feel like we never play well in them, and I like our traditional uniforms just a lot more. So
You don't like the Bring the Wood ones?
No.
No, I agree. Actually, they're terrible.
Really?
Yeah,
Not
they're
even like
really-
the all red?
the crimson cream. Let's throw that back.
That was
red-
almost the name of our podcast. Yeah.
But for
crimson-
certain reasons, we couldn't go with that.
Yeah, the
It
crimson and cream
might be on Urban
jerseys-
Dictionary. We don't know.
Okay, the crimson and cream jerseys aren't bad. It's the like anthracite black and cream ones that are just like cringy. It's just not. I don't like them. These new ones look sick.
I will say,
Joe, your dad's on Twitter again. We got some more.
yeah,
Joe's
my dad's on
Twitter
again.
and they don't like this. They say you don't see Alabama doing this. You got to keep your tradition. We have a tradition of crimson.
The olds really don't like the cool uniforms. They really don't want us to look good in them. But
it's because it's about unity, and they hate that.
But the olds, they hate it. But I will say these new ones look cool. The ones that I like, which Noah brings up a good point, we don't play very good whenever we wear alternates. But I remember, I think it was like 2017, 2018, something like that. We wore the all red, Bring the Wood against like Iowa State or something, and we lost at home. But those were really cool, I thought. But yeah, I definitely am I'm a fan of how they look, but I do agree with Noah, and usually we just don't play well. But that's really like, if I genuinely think that we play a certain way because of a uniform, that's stupid. But that's just something that I've noticed over the years.
Why y'all are? Why you guys are talking about we don't play as well with alternates on. If we're getting superstitious, Sooner Nation, this is the week to get superstitious about everything. Whatever good luck charm you've ever had for any of these games, pull it out this week. Make sure you're using it. Joe and I did not eat Wingstop this game. We watched the game together, and we didn't get Wingstop. We didn't score a single point. So
I did my job. I ate the dry waffles Saturday morning.
Yeah, put syrup on it. Maybe that'll help.
Year.
God.
Oh, that's why we're losing. Noah's dry waffles. Here's the thing. Yeah, I need you two to eat wings. Joe, I need you to pull out your Rocky Kalmus book, open it up to page 20, and leave it there on the table.
Okay.
Noah, I need your grandpa to put on his white jacket for the game. All right?
There is no chance of that.
I need him to put it on.
I will say this. Every time I get up at exactly 5:01 in the morning, I go take a pee, and then I get back in bed, and I wake my wife up with a fart. OU wins. So we're going to try to make that happen this week.
I'm going to try to make
but
that.
God,
again, I don't know.
Johnny,
Sorry,
got a
Ashley.
question. Johnny, I got a question for you. Looking at this week with Kansas, if Dillon Gabriel doesn't play, what do you want to see from the offense? I mean, what do you think's what can be a difference maker?
I mean, it's the run game. I think all of us defend OU's like offense a lot, but you know, we don't really have to defend Bill Bedenbaugh. Like most people in the country know he is a great offensive line coach, but you can't really claim to be a good offensive line coach if we're not having rushing yards. So, I mean, I loved those games growing up where our quarterback wasn't doing great and we ran the ball to like win the game. So if DG can't play and it's not working something else, I would love for Eric Gray to have a 200-yard game. Like, let's just be dogs in the trenches and go at them, because they don't have the defensive linemen to keep up with our offensive linemen if our offensive linemen actually do something.
We need that Samaje Perine against Kansas game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. If DG doesn't play, our running backs better have a day. I'd love to make the excuse for the offensive line that they're just tired because they're playing these long, hard games. But whenever we go 3 and out most of the time, I don't get why they're so tired. It's our defense who's tired trying to make up for it. So they gotta get it together. But Noah, what about you? What do you want to see? Assuming let's say Dillon Gabriel couldn't play. He got knocked out cold. Let's say they really do keep him out for 2 weeks. What's your hope?
No. I mean, if Dillon Gabriel doesn't play, I don't have a ton of hope. I don't know. There's nothing they showed me last week that gives me any confidence that they could go in and beat a pretty good Kansas team. Maybe they get more involved in the Wildcat. Maybe General Booty's good to go. He is actually reported. I didn't hear this till like yesterday, but I guess during the Red River game, he was unavailable because he had an allergic reaction. And so like his eye was swollen shut and it was getting worked on by trainers like the whole game. So maybe that was a plan where if Davis didn't work out, they could go to General once the game got going. Or maybe we haven't talked about this, but we got a message the day before the game that someone had heard from someone really close to the situation that General was going to be the starter. So maybe that did throw it off. But yeah, I mean, if it's Davis again, you'd hope they have one of the other quarterbacks ready to go, so they aren't in like a 35-0 hole again.
Right.
I want to see like other than. I mean, I think Davis Bevel, he's whatever it is, like he just couldn't figure it out last week. And I mean, from what we've seen from him so far, it's just I just would like to see somebody else get a chance. I know that, behind Dillon Gabriel, he might be the best we got, but at least let somebody else get a chance to, make something. I hope we aren't going to struggle this week like we did against Texas offensively, and I hope Dillon
Joe, I'll
Gabriel's
tell
gonna
you,
get to
I
play.
agree with you. If Davis Bevel comes out, I might turn the game off. I might just be done. I don't know if I can watch it.
Wow.
Well,
If he runs
I
out as
can't
our
tell you I'm
starting
going to
quarterback,
turn the game off.
you'll be at the game, so that'd be tough for you to turn it off.
Oh yeah, I will be at the game. But no, I think Davis Bevel's probably a good kid, whatever, but like I would just like to see what, Booty could do. Or I'd like to see what Nick Evers could do. At that point,
Yeah.
Not
Micah
saying
Bowens.
that Micah Bowens even. I just
comes
like to
Noah.
see
Preaching to
something
the
else.
choir. You're preaching to the choir, brother.
Yeah. Noah's a big Micah Bowens fan, but anyway.
Yeah,
Do you guys remember how we always talked about with Baker got hurt? We had Kyler in the ranks. You know, he was there and ready. That's how I'm feeling about Micah Bowens right now. I think we just got a weapon.
Micah Bowens is Kyler Murray.
Where is Micah Bowens from?
He's from
His mother.
He graduated from Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, and then he committed to Penn State and redshirted there, and then he transferred here 2 years ago, I believe.
Wow.
But he is extremely fast, extremely athletic, but there's clips of him throwing balls in practice, and he's just airmailing them over the heads of the receivers. Like, it's really bad.
That sounds like a couple other quarterbacks we've watched recently on our team.
Yeah.
But
I have coached
that's all I'll
a
say.
little bit.
It's okay, go ahead. Sorry, Joe.
I have coached a little bit. I coached some high school football a few years ago, but my real coaching days were back whenever I coached the Trojan Hoops 6th graders. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know anything about basketball, but shout out to my guy, Chase Gottlieb. He was the head coach, and I don't know, encouraged people. But every now and then you put a kid out there just because there was a rule that we like had to play certain players for like 4 minutes or something like that, or like 1 quarter, something like that. And every now and then you'd put a kid out there that you normally wouldn't play, and they'd surprise you in like a game time situation. So, I mean, I know I'm relating.
Joe, who was your favorite player?
Who was my favorite player? This kid named Kazi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kazi. I forgot his last name, but Kazi, if you're listening to this, you're my favorite player.
That's my thought too, is I just broke Noah. My thought is just like, if after we saw 0 points at the Texas game, if we go another whole week of practice and we come back out with Davis Bevel, I'm not blaming it on him at all. He's probably a great kid. He probably works hard. It's not his fault that he's not that good, I guess. I mean, I don't know, because he had the chance, and I'm not saying anything personally about him, but obviously we saw it. It's just not the quarterback play we need with the offense that we have, and so that'll just be super frustrating if he's the one that comes back out and who starts. Noah.
Or here's the thing. If maybe you start with him and he's struggling and he can't really get anything going, then let somebody else come in.
Yeah.
And see what
I'm not saying like he shouldn't, like, if he prepares the best and that's what you think you have,
right,
that's what gives you the best chance to win to start, let him start. But I mean, if you get down 14-0, you probably gotta switch it up. And I think that was just the biggest complaint with the Texas game. And I don't want to get all worked up again, but I mean, how do you not at some point pull the plug, even if Booty was prepped for some of that, like some of those snaps and couldn't go, like, get Evers in there sooner, like, just go straight Wildcat the rest of the game. Just do something. Just try and stay competitive.
It just seemed like we put all of our eggs in one basket. Like, we were just really riding on that Wildcat situation to get us out of the mud, and it dug us deeper. It was not a good situation. But yeah, I agree,
mean,
Noah.
Okay, I said I wasn't going to get worked up, but here I am. I mean,
here he goes again, guys. Here he comes.
I don't want to do this. Like, it doesn't do any good.
Let him hear it, Noah. Rage.
I don't want to be that guy.
49-0, Noah. 49-0 against Texas.
Texas had more points than OU had passing yards.
Yeah,
and
there it is.
That just makes me want to cry myself to sleep every night. Gosh, I mean, we talked about rock bottom. The more I think about it, and just that statistic alone makes me really just think, like, okay, just salvage what you can.
Now, we say rock bottom. If we got shut out by Kansas, That's
rock
really when we're
chalk
going to smell what the
Jayhawk
Rock is
bottom.
cooking.
If you get shut up by Kansas, I think we see a fellow podcaster follow through on his threat to maybe take a swan dive off the press box. I'm not going to name names, but that's been thrown out there this week. And I mean, I might be up there with them. Who knows? But man, I just can't imagine it being that bad. I think Gabriel's going to play, and I think all things considered, like, still have more talent, still have the more experienced quarterback. I mean, Jason Bean's not bad, and I think, Johnny, you kind of hit on it last year. He dang near led Kansas to a win.
It took that Caleb Williams Superman play.
Yeah, I think he's actually the better runner between him and Daniels. I think he ran like 14 times in that game last year.
Well, that's the thing,
he
is
can
like
use his legs a little bit.
People are forgetting, like, we almost lost to Kansas last year when we had Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler on the bench. Like, yeah, Spencer wasn't playing great, but any of us right now would be like, oh yeah, put Spencer in. Like,
and they had 4 or 5 NFL guys on defense, and you tell me there's any NFL guys on defense like right now, like ready to go to the league? Probably not. In the future, yeah, but currently not.
I think Jalen Redmond and Reggie Grimes.
Jalen doesn't even start right now.
I think he'd get picked up, though. I think those are 2 guys that they'd probably go late, I'd say. But if they, entered the draft, I think they could get picked up. But those are the only 2 at this moment, I'd say.
We tweeted this out this week, but you guys remember this time last year, we were kind of just sitting here thinking about, wow, our next 3-4 years with Caleb Williams is going to be freaking awesome. Like, Noah, could you imagine that on the ride back from the Red River game we went to last year, where we see Caleb Williams like arrival, we see him come out and really just take the starting job, lead us back to the greatest, comeback victory we probably have ever had. Could you imagine if we were riding back and someone told you that that next year we would lose 49-0 to Texas?
I wouldn't believe it. And if you would have said that Caleb was undefeated and OU was 3-3 and just got shut out 49-0 against Texas, I would have thought you were insane. But that's just the hand we were dealt, and it really sucks. There's nothing we can even do about it. Kind of going back to I'm not questioning Jeff Lebby as a play caller, but I do want to kind of bring up, like, when he was at Ole Miss, he had Lane Kiffin, who is a great offensive mind as well, kind of looking over things. It'd be Jeff Lebby's offense, sure, but Lane's given his input. And I kind of think that's kind of what Cale would have been to Lebby here, someone to kind of be in his ear, to give input, someone who's been around a while, knows just kind of the OU way. I feel like that's starting to show that there's not that guy on the staff that can also kind of help game plan. They have like the position coaches and stuff, but nobody is used to doing that at that level. So I'm not saying that he is in over his head, but I would hope that one of the changes in the offseason is bringing someone in that could kind of walk through that with him.
Yeah. Let's go get Ohio State's wide receiver coach and make him our co-OC, and then go win some national championships.
Let's go get Coach O and hire him as an analyst just so he can walk around wearing OU shirts.
Let's go get Mark Mangino and hire him as an offensive analyst. He's just touring through Europe right now. We could use him.
Mark Mangino?
Okay, well yeah. So here's a good question, I think. Who do you guys think? Okay, so say the season just continues to go terribly. Maybe not like 6 losses, but it's a bad season. We may see some coaching changes, but who's transferring out? Who's leaving the team?
Transferring out or being asked to transfer out?
Oh, okay.
Either one.
Let's. We could just say transferring out. We don't have to.
I think we were talking about this earlier, and I thought of one later in the day. If the season goes terribly and it affects his draft stock, Marvin Mims is out. He's
I
gone.
kind of
Absolutely, he's gone.
I kind of think that he's going to the NFL after this year, no matter what.
I mean, he just
I feel like David Igwebu. I think if
We'll see ya.
unless he just starts going off, he's going to enter the transfer portal because he'll do well in another scheme. I think. But yeah, Marvin Mims. That's my prediction for him. Johnny is. I think that he goes to the league, no matter what. You know, I think a guy that to watch is Theo Weiss. What do we think about him?
There's been a lot of speculation this week, and we've kind of talked and kept up with it, but it kind of looks like he's in the doghouse at the moment. I don't think he got any snaps against Texas. Granted, some of that could be scheme related in the Wildcat package. You're not going to have like 4 or 5 receivers out there. You're going to have Bevel standing on the edge. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd agree with you on that. If you were to like make the prediction now that he's gone after this year, I would agree. And that's just kind of a shame. Like, from all we can tell, he's like a good dude. And the trio of 5-star receivers that just never worked out with like Trajan's arrest and Jaden deciding to leave when Lincoln left, and now Theo's finally healthy and for whatever reason can't get on the field. So it's just kind of sad.
After all he's been through with the program, like there has to come a point where you're like, okay, I'll just be better off going somewhere else. But here's a guy I think is going straight to the league. Anton Harrison. I don't think there's any chance he stays. I think he's the only offensive lineman out there right now, in my opinion, that just looks like a dude and looks like an NFL caliber offensive lineman. And, I think after the season, if we had like a really promising season, it's like, hey, maybe next year we could win a national championship. I'm not saying that can't happen, but after you have a bad season, that's not what everybody's thinking. But yeah, I think he's a guy that definitely is going to be ready. So he's probably going to go say, hey, I'm going to go get paid.
And Joe, I think you're forgetting a really obvious NFL guy on the roster, and I'm really surprised.
Oh, everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Your boy Mike Turk.
My boy
Hang Time's been through the combine once. He's gonna go again.
Oh yeah. But here's the thing about Michael Turk. Well, he's a senior, isn't he? He couldn't even come back if he wanted to, right? I don't think.
I'm pretty sure
I think you're right, because the only reason he got to come back from the combine was because of the COVID year. So like he got to come back after going to the combine, which isn't normal. So I think you're right. I think this was his last year.
Well, he came back after the combine, whatever. I don't know. I can't remember if that was in between OU and Arizona State or not. But then he did. He was here last year.
Yeah,
he's here this year.
This is his 5th year. So
yeah, so he's gone no matter what. But he's literally the best punter in the nation. So he's going to the league for sure.
So not to take a step back here, but I want to ask you all on this too. Noah was talking about some of the coaching situations and Kel leaving, how that was a big deal, stuff like that. I was listening to some other college football guys talking about just the Oklahoma situation in general, and they brought up some just some ideas. I don't necessarily know that there's any truth to these rumors yet, but just what other people have kind of been buzzing about, at least on social media and different stuff, is they're saying, I don't think any of us maybe feel this way, but they're saying they're like, I don't think if we're losing this badly, like if we continue to lose this bad this year and it rolls into next year being a bad year, that's one of those things they're like, Oklahoma's not going to deal with losing like that. And so they're saying you maybe only give this coaching staff 2 or 3 years. If that happens, they said that they think what a lot of people are trying to shoot at, especially with the success they're having now, is a Josh Heupel return to OU as head coach. Or they said, interesting one, Matt Rule. Matt Rule just got fired from the Panthers, but he was very successful in college football. He still gets paid from the Panthers for another 2 or 3 years, so he doesn't have to rush into a job. And so they talked about he could be a guy that's patient, that looks for a big job.
I think it's way too early to be. These are rumors, and it's stupid if anybody thinks that we should be thinking about firing Brent Venables this early. I mean, call me crazy, but I think give him 3 years. Give him 3 years, and he'll have a national championship competitive team. Huh?
Oh, I thought you were going to stop after the championship.
What? Oh, well,
I thought you were going
to I think it's stupid for anybody to say anything like that. I think if we lost this badly 2 years straight, that's whenever people should get concerned. We can't put together anything.
That was their argument there,
but that hasn't happened yet. We're mid-season, and it's his first year. And Bob Stoops, like we talked about, Bob Stoops struggled his first year. Second year, won a national championship. So many coaches, they come into a program, they don't really have the guys that they maybe would exactly want, and then they kind of scrape up what they can, and they do what they can with that season, and then they start getting the guys in that they wanted, and then they start going off. So I think Brent Venables can do that. I still believe in him. I'm not one of those fair weather fans. I think that's stupid. But
yeah, I think they're going to give him 2 full years, and just those 2 names that were mentioned, not to just poke holes through them, but I think Heupel's still not upset, but I don't think he's itching to come back after
I don't think he
being
would come,
fired.
Yeah, especially since Stoops is still heavily involved.
Yeah, let me just preface this. I love my guy Josh. He's hanging up behind me. Here is me as a child. I'll post this online since we're just doing audio for this tonight, but I'll post that. But yeah, I don't see him taking if that were to become an option. Honestly, Tennessee's probably he's got a good situation there, and I don't see him getting fired from there and coming here, and I don't think he would leave there on his own and come back. But and Matt Rule, Matt Rule is gonna kind of, like you said, he'll pick and choose situation, but he has not shown in the past he can recruit top tier talent. He did good rebuilding Temple, did great rebuilding Baylor, but as far as getting the top guys, you really have to gotta have a little dog in you. And I'm not saying he doesn't, but he has no track record recruiting top talent like someone like Brent would. And I really don't. That would be a huge step down. And just I don't see any way either of those two end up in Norman, or that the staff gets booted after 2 years, like we talked about. That's pretty much the time they're going to give them to kind of start turning things around, and just dealing the hand they're dealt. It's going to take that time, as we've seen this year, to
just to
kind of refill
clarify,
the cupboard.
I'm not saying I'm for firing. I'm not saying I'm for firing the staff or anything. It's just interesting conversation hearing people that aren't necessarily OU fans talk about what they think about OU. So
yeah, you know, like we live in the message board era, and I'm on there a lot, just reading stuff, and a lot of old people that are just fed up and have already, like I saw even after the TCU game, a ton of like message board posts like I'm done with Brent, like let's get him out of here, all that. And that's just, I mean, we talked about olds, and that is a definite old thought right there.
Last thing I got for you guys, I had talked to you guys about this a little bit. We had a good conversation around it, but talking about if Dylan Gabriel's going to play or not this week. He was knocked out cold, and so like Jeremiah Hall, he was saying that in his experience with players, whenever you get knocked out cold like that, usually it takes 2 to 3 weeks sometimes, and so he was advocating for him not to play. With everything, you know, that happened with the Tua situation with the Miami Dolphins recently, makes it hard for anyone to want to rush into that with that being such, you know, nationally covered in that media, and so that's tough. Here's what I wanted to share with you guys. I think you might get a little kick out of this. I got to intern with a college at one point, a D1 college, and with their sports program and athletic training. And so the way that usually you get cleared to do this, to get out of concussion protocol, how it was whenever I was there about 6 years ago, is you have to take, at the beginning of the season, you take a test for your like hand-eye coordination. There's like math questions, just, you know, conjugative function test. And then if you get in concussion protocol, whenever you come out of it, you have to retake those tests, and you have to at least get to the same level that you were at before. So that's one of the ways, you know, they prove that you're clear from that, you're good to go. So DG is going to have to pass those tests that he has taken previously and set standards for himself on. But Johnny, you've played a lot of football. You had a lot of teammates. Joe, too. Here's the problem. If some of those guys that you guys played with had to pass a test to be able to play again.
Oh, they're never playing. It's not happening. I'll tell you that. I won't name names, but there's a guy I played with in high school. And when I tell you, like, you watch any like old 90s like football movie, and there's always the one guy like banging his head against the wall and like making himself bleed. I literally played with a dude like that, and he thought it was like cool, like I'm gonna just like headbutts his locker and then goes out to play. Yeah, like this dude couldn't spell his own last name. So I know Joe played with a few guys in particular that couldn't spell their full name, actually, so they made it shorter.
Yeah. I had this dude whenever I played in fourth grade. You know how the cheerleaders make that little tunnel for you to run through? Like, even if you lose, they're like, yay, at the end of the Little League games. And they have the balloons.
They don't
and
know
stuff.
what's going on. They're just there.
Yeah, they're just there. Yeah. And everybody's like loafing and walking through it with their heads down because they're sad that we lost. And I ran through it just, you know, because I was having a good attitude, you know. I'm like, you know what? I played a good game, and we'll learn from this loss. We'll build on it. And then I had a dude come up to me say, Joe, what are you doing? We didn't won. And I was like, we didn't won? You're telling me we didn't won? So apparently we didn't
about
won.
That story. We didn't won.
we didn't.
So
won.
Proper grammar.
There was a. Yeah.
Pretty sure that kid got a concussion that game and wasn't able to say things right anymore.
There was a player at that college that I was interning with that had been in concussion protocol for way longer than he should have been. It was like we're going on like 4 weeks. And the problem was he just was not a smart guy to begin with. He was not bright for sure. So the athletic trainer, we're doing these tests with him, and he's not passing it. And the athletic trainer just looks at me and he's like, "Man, I'm pretty sure this guy's been out of concussion protocol for 2 weeks now. He's just so dumb that he's never going to pass this test. Like, he wouldn't have passed this test before the concussion. It was never going to happen. So hopefully our boy DG's smart. He'll get around these tests and get the all clear going into there. So
yeah, hopefully we don't have to deal with that for much longer. Now we're going to transition into our interview with Austin Seibert. Once again, we just appreciate him sitting down and do it with us, and it was pretty funny. We had some good laughs. So here's that.
All right, Sooner Nation, let me introduce you to our special guest this week. He's a former Sooner great. He's the current all-time leading scorer in Oklahoma football history and the leading scorer among all college football kickers in FBS history. Drafted in the NFL in 2019, every Sooner fan knows him, number 43, Austin Seibert. Austin, thanks for joining us, man. Glad to have you out here. I think we got you muted. I think you're muted right now. There you go.
Good?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome.
Man, we appreciate you joining us. This is a podcast we started this year. It's just some younger Sooner fans that listen to a lot of guys and not see a lot of people our age that are talking about OU football. So we want to just get on here and put something together. It's something we all have in common. But we definitely want to spend some time just talking to you and getting to know you and getting to hear some of your experiences at OU as one of the greats that's ever been there. And so our first question, we'll just start before you were at OU. You grew up in Illinois, and so we're wondering, with you being there, what was your school growing up that you rooted for in college football, or baseball team? Were you White Sox, Chicago? What were those teams that you had growing up?
Yeah, so I'm from the southern Illinois, so right outside of St. Louis. But yeah, I guess if I had to choose like my dream school growing up was Notre Dame. So, like, I was a diehard Notre Dame fan. That was the school I wanted to go to. And, I mean, I'm in Big Ten country anyways, so I didn't watch a whole lot of Big 12 football growing up. It was always Big Ten, SEC stuff. But, yeah, and then I guess if you had to pick, like, a sports team, it would have been the Packers and the Rams and then the Cardinals and Blues.
Nice. All right, so there's a video online from whenever you were in high school of you kicking like a 70-yard field goal during a practice. So is that the furthest field goal you've ever made, or is there somewhere out there that didn't get taped where you hit one further? What you got?
So that was before a game. I remember that. That was my senior year. That was in warm-ups before a game. But yeah, I've hit further than that. I mean, it just depends on the day. I mean, if the leg's fresh and you're feeling good and you got some other guys who are banging next to you or whatnot, it's ball come off. But, I mean, with the wind at your back, especially at Oklahoma sometimes, you can hit some really long field goals.
Yeah. Yeah, we get some crazy wind down here for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, we talk about every aspect of OU football, and we've talked about recruiting on here previously. Just wanted to hear from your perspective, like I'm interested to hear about like kicking recruiting, because it's such a different aspect as far as kickers and punters. Like, you guys are graded differently and all that other stuff. So what was that like for you in high school?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate in the recruiting process as a kicker. I was the number one kicker on ESPN, number one punter on ESPN as well. And then I went to camps. I kicked well, going head-to-head against guys. I kicked well. And I was fortunate enough to have, a lot of offers and a lot of big schools to choose from. And I mean, Notre Dame was not one of those. I went to Notre Dame's camp when I was in high school, and they did not pay any attention to me, and I was just rubbed the wrong way by their staff there.
They messed up.
Yeah, exactly, but that's fine. It all worked out because I took a junior day visit to Oklahoma, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go, and my mom was like, you need – go check it out. Like, let's go down there. I've never heard of Oklahoma. I never watched Oklahoma football. So we went down and, got on campus, and I stepped on the field and just had this, vision of me playing there, and I didn't really get that anywhere else. And I remember it to this day, this younger dude came up to me and was, I don't know, just very, very good vibes and a nice guy, and it turned out to be Lincoln. his first day in Norman, whatever it was. But yeah, after that, I just really thought that was the place that I needed to be, and that's what we ended up doing.
You know, we've all got feelings about Lincoln now, so we won't ask you any questions about him.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I know how everything panned out, but to this day, Lincoln will still text me and check in on me and everything like that. So I do respect him a lot. I know in the eyes of a lot of Sooner fans, he's off their list, but.
All right, Austin. I got my question here. Now, like you, I made some big-time kicks when I was younger.
Okay.
In middle school and backyard football, when I was about 300 pounds and about 5'6", and I looked like a girl, I made actually a 30-yard field goal.
There you go.
All the kids in the neighborhood saw it. It was awesome.
I love that.
But you made a lot of big kicks in your time at OU. I was just wondering, is there one kick that was that you remember specifically that was like super nerve-wracking?
Yeah. So you kind of get in these moments, and you really get thrown in the fire, and you either you sink or swim. My sophomore year, I had taken on kickoffs. I was doing all three, and I was having difficulties figuring it out. And I was getting criticized pretty hard by a lot of people. And there's a game against TCU that year. I had a field goal. I forget what the distance was, but it was one of those field goals. It's like everyone's like looking at you. You're not performing how you should. And it was a field goal that like sealed the deal for us. Like a minute left, I want to say, and it was a shootout game, like most games were. But that was like a confidence boost for me because, my freshman year, I punted well. I kicked field goals well. Coming into my sophomore year, I was doing all three, and your confidence kind of goes up and down. And your sophomore year in college kind of is the one that says, hey, I have potential. And it'll start getting you on the radar of, like, NFL teams and things like that. And I think from that moment on, like, I kept on just pushing through all the adversity, and it led to what it is now. So I would say that kick against TCU.
Awesome. That's great. That's always fun to hear about performance.
Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah. So obviously OU is one of the more storied college football programs, and there's been tons of like Heisman winners and just All-Americans that have played there. And with you being the all-time leading scorer, is that like an added sense of accomplishment, or is that something you even really think about at all?
I do feel so. For me, I guess, I played with the best offense in college football history. We had so many All-Americans on the team as well, and I feel like it was kind of a team effort from that aspect of things. But, yeah, it's definitely cool to have your name kind of etched in the history books, especially doing that in 4 years. And now you got guys who are kicking in 5 years, and they have the COVID year and all this stuff, so they get more games to kick in.
For some.
But, yeah, exactly. And, like, if I would have played 6 years, I'd have 1,000 points. So it's just one of those deals. But I feel like, to me, I'm more proud that I am the all-time leading scorer for Oklahoma football than I am for Power 5 teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Y'all heard it here first. Seibert said greatest offense in college football history.
Yeah.
That
LSU can suck
Sooners.
it.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. Forget Joe Burrow. We got Austin Seibert.
So I'll ask you this as a specialist. Most people, they either punt or kick. You've talked about that a little bit. And so just give you a chance to speak to your ability to do both at a high level in college football. And what do you think it is why we don't see more teams, more players, college, NFL, that have people that do both? What's the thing that makes that so difficult?
Well, the NFL has its own reasons when it comes to contracts and holders and things like that. But in the college level, personally, so this is another one of the reasons why I came to OU too. So 3 reasons I came to OU. I'll break this down. 1, they said I could play as a freshman. 2, they said I could punt, and kick. And then 3, the campus itself was clean. It's all tight-knit. That was a huge deal for me in recruitment. Like, I went to Mizzou, and I'm a Bash Mizzou now, but their campus is a piece. Like, I did not like it. I'm not a Mizzou guy. Like, it's not for me. But as far as kicking and punting, you know, I started kicking when I was kicking and punting when I was 7 years old. You know, I started kicking in my backyard, punting in my backyard with my dad, and I ended up doing a punt, pass, and kick. And, you know, won that, made it to the Rams Dome, like punted and at halftime in front of, you know, 60,000 people, whatever it was. And just from that moment on, I just wanted to kind of like be the best at this because I knew I was good at it, but I didn't know where it would take me. And then my freshman year in high school, I made varsity and I punted and kicked. So that kind of just kept progressing. And I went to all these national camps and kicked against these guys and punted against these guys. And I was more mature, too, at a younger age. So I've been the same height since I was in 8th grade. But, yeah, just...
Same.
Yeah, I hate that. But, yeah, just... It's a different swing, and it's a different mindset. And a lot of kids don't want to put the work in to do both, if that makes sense. Like, I've helped a lot of kids out kick and punt, and the amount of hours I've put on a field, just like, and it's not because I don't know, I just loved kicking and punting. Like, that was my thing. So the more work I put in, and I wanted to play D1 football. Like, I wanted to be the best I could be. So I think that kind of stems from that. And a lot of kids aren't like that nowadays. Or they don't get the chance to because special teams coaches are so afraid to let someone try and do all 3, but it's been done.
Yeah.
In baseball, the relationship between the battery, so the pitcher and catcher is really important. Could you just talk a little bit about how important it is to have someone you can trust? Like, for most of your time, you had Connor McGinnis, who won, like, Holder of the Year. But,
Yep.
like, is that something that varies, like, player to player, that relationship and how important it is?
Yeah, I think the more of a relationship you have with your holder and your snapper, the more they're willing to do their job to the best of their ability for you, especially if they mess up. So my sophomore year, junior year, I lived with Connor for a year in college. And I'm not going to say I'm the easiest person to live with or the easiest person to be on a team with, but I remember we had one practice inside, and I've definitely nicened up since college, I feel like. But Connor was, doing some quarterback stuff, and we had a field goal period coming up, and he wasn't even in the drill. He was just standing off to the side. And I was like, I went over there and I like chewed him out. I was like, hey, dude, like, I'm not going to cuss on here, but like, I took it upon myself to say, hey, get it together because I chose you to be my holder, and you're going to get on the field by being a holder. So you need to come over here and start holding for me. And from there on out, like, he kind of just got it and did an unbelievable job. And that's why I had my success, and that's why Gabe had his success. So it happened for a reason, and I'm sure Connor doesn't hold a grudge on that because he won Holder of the Year. So
is that something
absolutely.
that cool. Is that something that's common where the kicker will go through and choose their holder?
So for me personally, like in college, I wanted someone who was going to work at it. I didn't just want someone coming in and holding, 10 balls a day. Connor was holding, so many holds, just working on it. Like, it was his craft, and that's why he got so good at it.
Yeah.
A lot of holders aren't like that. He was very picky about, like, his holding process.
That's cool.
Another guy that really works on his craft in the holding department and also the punting department is my boy Michael Turk. So I want to give a quick shout out to my boy Michael Turk. Absolutely. Hey, best QBR in the nation, right?
There you go.
Right, guys? Something like that.
Joe, that's a thing for our podcast. Joe loves Michael Turk. It's his goal to get Michael Turk on here. So
there you go.
He gives him a shout out every episode. So
hang time.
Got to shout him out.
Hang time,
Got to
baby.
shout out hang time. Absolutely. Well, we all, love college football. I think all of us can agree that we like college football more than the NFL. But I did want to ask you just about your draft experience. So, not many kickers get picked in general, but you got picked in the 5th round, and I just want to know, did you have any idea that the Browns were going to take you, or did you have other teams that you thought may take you earlier or later, or just your whole draft experience? What was that like?
Yeah, so my whole process was actually very good. I played in the Senior Bowl. I had a really good week at the Senior Bowl. And then I had the pro day at OU, and it was really cool because Kyler was supposed to throw before me, and that got switched. So literally when I was kicking off and kicking field goals, they had to part all the coaches and scouts, and we had 120 people there. So they all saw me kick, and I had a really good pro day. Cool. And then at the combine as well, my numbers at the combine were really good. So in all 3 phases of the big scouting stuff, I kicked really well. And then I had private workouts with 6 teams, I want to say. And then one team came and worked me out twice. So I was for certain I was going to this team. And it was the Bears. They came and worked me out twice. And it's a funny story too. The second time they came and worked me out, I was in our indoor, and the lights were out. They wouldn't come on. And it was raining outside, so it was dark. And I hit 17 field goals for this coach in the dark and didn't miss a single one. So it's pretty funny, but I definitely thought I was going to the Bears. That was the year they had all the kicking issues before, and they had 10 guys in camp. But as I'm watching the draft on draft day, I had it at Coach Drew Hill, the recruiting coach. His house. I was over at his house watching it with Coach Doherty. Cale Gundy came over and just hung out with one of my best friends, those guys, and then my now wife and a couple of her friends came over. But we did that there. And, I was upset on draft day because I fell a little bit. I had some teams saying they were going to take me in the 4th, and I fell to the 5th. And I know that sounds kind of bad, but
no.
But yeah, the Bears traded their 5th pick away, 5th round pick, and I was like, dang, okay, well, where am I going to end up now? And last pick in the draft, the one team I didn't want to get drafted by or play for, because the weather is just absolutely terrible in Cleveland. I got picked 2, and that's fine. I played really well up there. Right. And they think I suck, but they can go look at the stat sheets. But yeah, that's.
I mean, you can tell by your answers that you got that mentality, though. You got that dog in you of you want to be the best. You just even said most kickers would just be happy to be drafted. And you're mad that you fell.
Yeah, I was actually really upset. So it's funny too because Drew is friends with one of the assistant GMs who was with the Browns at the time. So I'm sitting in the living room by myself. Everyone else is outside, and I'm just getting pissed. I'm I fell to the 6th. I did the best at the combine. This dude got taken before me. All these punters are going. And then Drew texts the assistant GM for the Browns and says, hey, what about my guy Seibert? And he texts him back, before I even get drafted, before I see this on the TV, everyone outside knew I got drafted by the Browns. And I'm sitting inside and see it, and they come in 3 minutes later, and then I'm drafted by the Browns. And it was so anticlimactic because they already knew. I'm on the phone, and they're like, we know you just got drafted.
Man, that's cool. Did you get a call from Baker or anything like that? Were you guys close when you guys were on campus or anything?
No, we weren't super tight. But me and Bake, we maintained a relationship. I was kind of more kept to myself when I was in college because I was just really focused on getting to the NFL. And once I got to Cleveland, I definitely talked to Baker more and hung out with him. He hosted Bible studies and stuff. And then my wife and his wife still keep in touch. And, so it definitely developed more as we got into the league. So,
yeah.
We'll ask you one final question.
To my next question.
Okay.
Give me just a second.
Oh, he's got his headband ready.
It says Baker. You can't tell because my head's big and I'm bald. It doesn't work as well as he
That's
does.
all right.
But I just want to ask you, Austin, what is Baker like? I know you already kind of answered it. Well, what is he like, and do you have any specific memories of him at OU, or even, you guys played together with the Browns and everything?
Yeah.
Any specific things that stand out about him as a person, anything like that?
Yeah, so I got a couple stories from college. One funny, one – I mean, they're both kind of funny looking back at him now. But, yeah, I mean, Baker is who he is. He's straightforward. He's a fiery guy. He's going to say what he says and whatnot. But it was very cool seeing him develop his faith when I got to the NFL with him, hosting Bible studies and stuff like that. But in college, me and Baker were at a house party with some football guys, and he was playing this song, and it was like an EDM song, up tempo, and I was vibing to it, and I was having fun, whatever. And I'm like, hey, Bake, what is that song? I texted him the next day. I was like, hey, what was that song you sent me last night? He's like, what song? I have no idea what you're talking about. So I have this song just stuck in my head, and I asked him 3 times, 2 days in a row. Like, hey, dude, what's that song? Whatever. He doesn't know. He doesn't text me. He waits a week, and he texts me the song. He's like, here, I just wanted to make you wait. But then we had an argument over text. So Baker had thrown 70 touchdowns, and he wanted to switch footballs to these balls that are just terrible for kickers. And I text him. I'm like, dude, do not switch footballs. He's like, I like to throw these better, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, Baker, you threw for 70 touchdowns last year. This ball's not going to make you throw any more touchdowns than you did last year. But so we got into an argument over that. We ended up keeping the same ball, so it worked out, and he threw a lot of touchdowns with that one. So,
yeah. Well, we'll ask you this last question. So we appreciate your time, but we ask all of our guests. It's one of the things that kind of blew up on Twitter whenever we got this new coaching staff.
Yep.
Is everyone loves the Schmitty stories.
Yeah.
So do you got any stories, any times that maybe you had to do a punishment? I don't know how that relationship works with the special teams, but a good Schmitty story.
Yeah, no, I never was late or missed a Schmitty workout. Schmitty, I gained Schmitty's respect. I got to the point my sophomore year, junior year before he left, where I would just go to whatever workout I felt like waking up for. So it's kind of weird. But, I never really got in trouble for it. But, when I was in the weight room, I did what I told. I made my times, and I just kind of grinded. And, I think Schmitty's awesome. I really have a lot of respect for him and what he does in the weight room because I was so strong under him and his staff. And I feel like that was one of the building blocks for me to, get the leg strength that I have now. But, obviously there's the stories of dudes who are running hundreds and out in the heat of Oklahoma at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and, they end up leaving some brown streaks in their underwear while they're running, and they can't go change their underwear, so they got to keep running. But Schmitty always used to say to keep an extra pair of underwear with you. But, I really have a lot of respect for him, and he does great in the weight room. So I really hope the dudes there are buying into that because if you just buy in and do it, you're going to get really strong.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate your time. We'll just let you – if you have anything else you want to say, anything you want to say to Sooner Nation or to the team this year, any final thoughts?
I think the team this year just needs to keep battling. I know we're young and whatnot, and we got a new staff, but, you just got to believe that they can do it. And you got to give Venables a little bit of time with what he inherited. And I know it's tough, too, with all this NIL stuff going on. So hopefully the university itself and the fans can get behind some of these NIL deals to keep some of these guys in. Because I heard that D tackle that went to the A&M got paid like $4 million a year.
That's what they're saying.
$4 million
no knows,
a year,
that's
dude.
that's
That is
the story.
insane. Let's buy our recruits and lose football games. That's sick.
I bet you would have had quite the NIL deal with the streak you had going on there in college.
Man, I wish.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
We'll get out of here, but thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
All right, guys, that was a great interview we had with Austin, man. We really appreciate you and your time jumping on here with us. He had some great stories, some fun stuff to share, and so, man, it doesn't get much better than that, hearing about some of these things that we've, as OU fans always wondered about, and getting to hear it straight from the players. So, for me, let's jump into my favorite segment that we have going on here, the Power Five. So this week's Power Five, this is what I got for you guys. It is celebrities who you think would make a good coach. And so you can kind of spin it how you want. My thought is kind of like who would make a good college football head coach. But you can kind of roll with how you want there. Which celebrities, not athletes, obviously that doesn't count, not a celebrity athlete, but which celebrities would make a good college football coach. So we'll start with who's getting the start here? Is it Noah? Right, Noah. It goes Noah.
Yeah.
Noah, Joe, Johnny, and then me. All right, that's what we'll do.
Yeah. So first pick, got to do it. Just set the tone early. I'm going with Morgan Freeman. He will give the best speeches in the locker room, and man, yeah, imagine coming in after the half OU put up against Texas in the first half, and Morgan Freeman's in there to give you your halftime speech. I mean, you come out ready to run through a wall, or you're asleep. One of the two. So
we're gonna hope, voice.
Yeah, we're gonna hope that they don't fall asleep and that they're fired up for the second half.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to let that guy down. My first pick is going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I knew it.
He's got he's got that kind of demeanor about him where he walks into a room and he really just demands everyone's respect immediately. And I think that's something you need as a coach. He also just doesn't mess around, and I like that. I like that attitude he's got, and I'm also just his biggest fan. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, first pick. Who's next? Johnny?
Yes, sir. All right, my first pick, I'm going with Jamie Foxx. Just a great impersonator. So I'm just going for the variety pick here. If you need him to be, Donald Trump for you in your halftime speech, he can do that. But on the flip side, he could be Tony Dungy. He could do a lot for you. So I'm getting a versatility and variety pick with Jamie Foxx.
All right, I'm going to take back-to-back picks here, first, second round. My number one, I'm picking Gordon Ramsay. I don't know if y'all ever watch any of his shows. I basically like every competition show. So I watch Hell's Kitchen, and whenever he yells at you, and he has the worst, he's so ruthless. Like he will get in your face, yell till he's red. He'll call you names. Really reminds me of a coach I had whenever I played that nobody liked, but you always wanted to do well because you didn't want him to yell at you. And I feel like Gordon Ramsay brings that intensity and draws that respect of like you don't want him yelling at you and talking bad about you there. So number two, for me, got to go with Adam Sandler. It's the kind of the opposite of Gordon Ramsay. I think he's a player's coach. Every player's going to love him. He's around sports a lot. He hangs out with the NFL guys and the NBA guys. He was an athlete himself at one point, and he led a great team to a win in the longest yard. So I think every player would do anything they could to get a win for Adam Sandler.
He was an athlete in a movie.
He was a real athlete. He played football and basketball in high school.
Okay.
But he still plays with lots of like professional athletes now, just pickup games.
Yeah. I like that pick, Christian, actually, because if you think about it, there's always random assortments of like shirts and shorts that are too big for teams, and Adam Sandler wears those anyways. So he would
Jason White shorts.
Yeah, I like that. He's really doesn't waste any of the clothes.
Absolutely. All right. kind of in the same way, a player's coach. For my second round pick, I'm going with Tom Hanks. Just your classic, just nose to the ground, hardworking, as Joe would say, brings his lunch pail to work type of coach.
Every day.
And I think Tom Hanks would be a great motivator and a longevity pick. He's not trying to move around. He wants his one team and he wants to be there for a career. So taking Tom Hanks.
Am I up?
No, Joe.
No,
Joe,
Okay.
It's your pick.
All right, my pick. Next one I'm going with is I got on here Chief Keef. Chief Keef is my next my next pick. I think Chief Keef would make a great head coach. I used to listen to Chief Keef before a game, and as my buddy Ronald Ollie would say from Last Chance U, make you want to kill somebody, bro. So that's the kind of coach I need. I need somebody to really motivate me and make me want to tear somebody's head off before a game. And Chief Keef used to do that for me. So yeah, Chief Keef, second pick. Noah, what's your next pick?
Yeah, I've got 2 picks back to back. First one, I'm going Will Ferrell. He's a huge college football fan, big USC fan. He's at their practices a lot. He can lighten the mood when things get tense. And yeah, it's a good contrast from Morgan Freeman, who's going to be more serious.
He is one of the worst coaches in cinematic history in his coaching performance in semi-pro.
But in kicking and screaming, he led those boys to a chip.
That's true.
Just give it to the Italians.
To the Italians.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike Ditka tried to beat him, but he beat Mike Ditka. So,
Dick Butkus.
My third round pick, a steal, Denzel Washington. A great couch in Remember the Titans. He fits right in on the staff, and we're just gonna be a powerhouse.
Good pick. Is it my pick again?
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah, okay. So third pick of the draft here. I'm going with Joel Osteen.
Absolutely.
Joel Osteen.
Wow.
Why?
Joel Osteen is great. I think he'd be he's great at getting people to do what he wants. And if anything, we'll just be Texas A&M. We'll get that money. We'll get that money. We'll have the NIL deals. We might not win that many games, but we'll be a contender with the caliber of players we get that we buy. So yeah, we'll have that money. Joel Osteen, third pick.
His
next?
church is in an old sports arena too, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's where I think the Rockets used to play or something like that. I don't know what his church's name is, but yeah, Joel Osteen.
Well, all right. So my third pick here, to any of our listeners that watch the great show Ted Lasso, you've seen Jason Sudeikis just portray a great coach, just loving, cares about his players, kind of just an all-around package. So great value here in the third round. I'm taking Jason Sudeikis.
Great pick. All right, who's
Christian?
next?
All right, sorry, my mic was muted. I was getting ready, but there. All right, my third round pick, and I honestly just think it's a steal. I don't know how this couch is still here, but for round 3, I'm picking Lizzo.
Please explain why.
I mean,
Nobody's taking that couch.
You've heard her song "New Man" on the Minnesota Vikings, so she's familiar.
That's not
she's
what the song's called.
New
That's
Man
not
on
the
the
song.
Minnesota Vikings. That's the line in it. Everybody knows. So
Yeah,
she's
it's the
familiar.
song title.
She knows some NFL players. Also, very intimidating. One of the greatest coaches in the NFL right now, Andy Reid. They're similar in builds. So that's to her advantage.
Good night.
If they need it, she can get on the line. So she can take on it.
Who wins in a pass rush drill? Lizzo or
Andy Reid. That's a good one, actually. Andy Reid.
I mean,
or Lizzo.
yeah, Andy Reid.
Lizzo
in
would
his prime
eat
or
his
Lizzo?
lunch. Oh, in his
Oh, my
prime, I don't know,
gosh.
but right now, Lizzo would eat his lunch.
Jason Kelsey or Lizzo?
Lizzo.
Oh my! No.
Jason Kels.
Taylor
She blows them
Luann
up.
or Lizzo?
Oh golly! But also, you could also add in the intimidation factor of like she could threaten to wear those outfits she wears if you don't win, and they're gonna go. They're gonna go all out for that. So,
Yeah. Hold on.
So that's my third.
Before you get to your
Okay,
fourth, I really think people forget that she actually played college football. She was a tight end. She was a tight end.
She didn't.
She was a tight end at Baylor in like 2012. Don't you guys remember?
No, Johnny.
Her first name back then was like Laquan. She played for Baylor.
Wasn't he like 6'8", 450 pounds?
It was huge.
Okay.
He made Sean Oakman look small.
That was Lizzo.
All
guys.
right, my fourth.
God.
Dang it, Johnny. My fourth pick. Ooh, I gotta catch my breath. Joe, you're gonna love this. John Candy.
Okay.
John Candy.
John Candy.
You guys know John Candy, Irv Blitzer
Yeah.
from. Here's the thing that's
Home
going to make
Alone.
him a great. Yeah,
Home
I mean, yeah, he's on
Alone.
that too. Here's the thing that's going to make him a great couch. He has that picture of him that makes him look like Couch Madden. Joe, whenever John Madden passed away, Joe had this picture of John Candy that he would text us in our group messages and say "R.I.P. Couch Madden." So he's already in character. Also, he played Irv Blitzer in Cool Runnings. I know y'all have seen Cool Runnings, and that's got to be one of the greatest coaching performances ever to get that group to win a bobsledding championship. So we're going with John Candy.
John Candy, great pick. Looked like John Madden, great coach in those movies. Loved it.
Joe,
Yeah.
could you? We've not told this story, and Noah, you say it a lot. It's a really good inside joke. Joe, could you let the fans in a little bit on our couch joke? Why we call coaches couches?
Okay, so yeah, we had a coach. There was a coach pass away one time that we all knew, and people were posting on Facebook and stuff like "rest in peace," stuff like that. And this one guy that nobody knew, but for some reason was posting about it, said, "Rest in peace, couch, blah blah. You were a great couch. You are now couching God's team." Spelled coach wrong 3 times in a row.
He's a great couch.
I'm in school for studying the Bible, guys, and I don't think his theology's right. I don't think that God has a football team, and I don't think he has a football couch. and if he did, then he'd have Vince Lombardi and he'd have John Madden. He'd have a few different guys he could choose from. But anyway, yeah, that was just a really dumb thing somebody put on Facebook, and it made me mad.
We've
so
kind of all
that's why
kept
we say
that
couch.
inside joke of calling coaches couches.
Mm-hmm.
Couches. Which one should I pick?
I don't know what that was. No, that sounds like your
Wow.
your freaking jingle that you thought every Oklahoman knew that we had no idea what it was.
Nobody knew.
Oh, the support I got on that was outstanding. You guys were in the wrong for sure.
I had multiple people tell me they had no clue what you were talking about either, though. So
Mhm.
I think it's an Oklahoma City thing. I don't think it's a Tulsa thing.
I mean,
This guy. All right, moving
it's
on.
all over.
Moving on. Christian, you made your fourth pick, right? Yeah, okay. My fourth
Yes, sir.
pick, also great value here. Everybody needs a coach that can just hype you up. And there's nobody that could get you hype like DMX. Give me DMX as my coach, making me run through a wall honestly, I'd probably do it out of fear, thinking he might kill me. But shout out DMX. I would love to have you as a coach. Joe?
Good pick. So yeah, I got I got a few good picks here, and I really needed a players coach. And here's somebody that everybody likes. I think honestly, no matter if you like country music or not, you got to like this guy because he's just classy. He's got a nice big red beard. He's fluffy. He's a great guy. Luke Combs. I'm going with Luke Combs. He's a guy everybody likes. He's a football guy. Yeah, Luke Combs, 4th pick. Who's next?
Oh, I'm getting an incredible steal here. We all know college football is based around recruiting. Couches have to go into families' living rooms and sell them on the idea of family. Who does that better than my good buddy Mark Sinclair, aka Vin Diesel?
Oh, yeah. You missed out on that one. All about family.
You missed out on that one, Johnny.
Pacifier Vin Diesel, or
yeah, he
Fast
was
and
born
Furious
Mark
Vin
Sinclair.
Diesel?
That's one thing I've learned in researching this the most is that all these actors have different names.
I think Johnny was about to take that pick because he looks mad.
Yeah. I could tell I got away with one there, but yeah, Vin Diesel is going to be able to sell the recruits and the team on family, and yeah, he'll work well with my other couches to create a great culture. I'm up again, right? So I've
you
my
got
last
back to back
pick here.
number 5 here.
I'm gonna go with Christian Bale. He wears many crowns. He can be many hats, I should say. He can be serious, as he was in Batman with the "Where are they?" line. And he also has roles where he's more relaxed. So I think the combination you talked about, just like a head coach, I view mine more as like a coaching team. So I want people with different personalities that will be able to handle different responsibilities better. So that is my final squad.
All right, Christian Bale, bad pick. Let's go to you next, Joe.
All right, so for my final pick, 5th and final pick, so I wanted to go, all of these guys I think could be good head coaches, but also I think they could coach well together as a staff. So it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, I got my muscle. Chief Keef, I got my hype. Joel Osteen, I got my guy raking in the dollars. Luke Combs, I got my players coach. Snoop Dogg is my final pick. I think if you ever seen Coach Snoop on Netflix, he is a players coach too, but he's one of those coaches that really gets into these kids' lives and really dives deep. Honestly, really cares about them. So great coach, Coach Snoop, Snoop Dogg, final pick. Who's next?
All right. Coming in with this last pick, yeah. Noah really just stole Vin Diesel right from me. I had this whole thing figured out. Thought I was getting the greatest 5th round pick. But, in thinking about it now, Christian said John Candy. Rest in peace. And I honestly was only thinking about people that were alive. And here we are. You guys left Robin Williams on the table.
Wow.
Tell me that you don't get a halftime speech from Robin Williams to just make you feel incredible and go out and win a game, no matter the circumstances. So 5th round,
good pick.
Insane value. Give me Robin Williams.
Good pick. Rest in peace.
Okay, for my final pick, I think this is a sleeper here. I'm gonna go with Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis. Any of you guys know who Rick Moranis is?
No clue.
Nope.
I do know who he is, yes, but I'll let you tell the listeners.
I'm not completely old. Johnny and I are the same age, so Johnny knows. These guys are too young for the Rick Moranis, I guess. You guys know.
Y'all are some boomers.
Did you guys ever watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
No, I literally.
You ever watch that movie?
You're old. Don't
Oh my gosh! I had that on VHS tape at my grandma's. We watched that. We watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, your grandma. Your grandma had it.
Great show. Great movie. But if you guys Google Rick Moranis, you'll know who he is. Once you see him, he did so many movies in the 90s, and then he just kind of stopped. But the movie The Little Giants, he takes a team of misfits. He's Danny O'Shea in that movie. Takes a team of misfits kids that want to play football. It's actually his daughter decides she wants to play, and then all of her friends. And they're the misfits. They can't make any other team. They're awful. And he ends up leading them to a championship. And he's the analytics guy. He finds weird stuff that works. He finds things that are uncommon. And so he's going to get us a win. My favorite play from that whole movie is he has, Joe, you'll love this. He has a play where they couldn't get past the D line of the other team. So their center was a big guy, kind of a gross kid, and he had him go up and turn around to snap the ball and just farted and knocked out the entire defensive line.
I like it.
He knocked him out with the fart. So I'm taking Rick Moranis, Danny O'Shea for my fifth and final pick.
Yeah, I think all those were good until that last pick there, but we'll let the listeners decide on that. All right, moving forward to our last segment, Bets with the Boys. As always, we're going to start off with the OU game, and we'll go from there until we get to our wild card. So OU is a 9.5-point favorite at home against Kansas. Johnny, where's your head at with this one?
It is really well, I actually am going to take that back. I was going to say it's really tough to come into Norman and get a win, but Kansas State just did it. So here's the thing. I don't think Kansas's defense can keep up with our offense, even if DG's not playing. I think that we can run the ball. Texas just has better players than Kansas, and it sucks what happened last week, but I'm positive that we'll get the win here. I think Kansas just hadn't played good teams. We saw them play well against TCU, but I think we just have another level of recruits. So I'm going to take OU to win and cover.
Yeah, so I know that everybody's going to hate me again, but I'm not necessarily saying KU is going to win the game, but I think they cover. 9. What was it, Noah? 9 points?
9.5.
9.5. Yeah, I think if we win by a little bit. We don't win by 9.5 or more. But I think Kansas covers. But we definitely have a chance if Dylan Gabriel plays. So,
yeah, like Johnny said, it's a tough game to pick. If Dylan Gabriel plays, that's obviously the biggest game changer. I'm going to assume he is playing this week based off of how close they made it seem he was to playing last week. And so I'm going to pick OU to cover. I think even though Kansas' backup has been good, I think that's got to be a little deflating to lose your number one quarterback who's been rocking with you all season. And if we get Dylan Gabriel back, and I can't imagine them not coming out of this week just with the mindset of we've got to go out there and destroy whoever we play. And so, I think OU's got to come out with that mindset. So I'm going to pick OU to cover on this one, even though I'm scared. So,
yeah, I'm with you. I think OU comes out with some juice, whether it be new uniforms, being embarrassed the last couple weeks. But I think they get Dylan Gabriel back. And like you said, Kansas is probably a little deflated how close they were to still being undefeated and this being a huge game. They lost in a kind of heartbreaking fashion last week, and Jason Bean is really good. He's a great quarterback, but I think OU has something to play for, and this is kind of my last week defending them, thinking they can cover if they lose this one. It's more or less just play the young guys and start playing for next year. So I'm going to take OU in this one. Our next game is one of the most exciting ones we've picked this year, just from the different sides of it. There's injury stuff going on. I'm really anxious to see where everyone's head is at on this, but Alabama is a 7-point favorite against Tennessee.
Yeah, so we always just got to let him know, give him his second of fame. But shout out to Al Chambers, the biggest Vols fan I know. I am all on the Hendon Hooker train. Definitely bought in and think that he's playing really well. Josh Heupel's got himself a great team that he's putting together. And I don't know that Bryce Young's going to play yet. No slouch to Jalen Milroe. He's a great player, but I think Tennessee wins this game, and I think they cover. I think they have the upset, and that propels them into the top 4 teams in the country.
Yeah, I think I think what Tennessee's been doing is great, and I think they got a chance, definitely. But for my pick, I'm going to just go ahead and say Alabama's going to cover. I know that, they don't know who the quarterback's going to be this week. We'll see, how healthy they are, what happens there. But I just still feel like, even whenever they're faced with some sort of adversity like that, a lot of times they just still find a way to pull it off. So I'm going to say Bama covers.
Yeah, I jumped on a Twitter space the other day, and it was the Reddit college football Twitter space, and I asked them specifically about what team is the most impressive to you right now, most exciting to watch, not necessarily the most dominant. And they all went in. The 2 college analysts that were doing it, that are national guys, went in on how much they love Tennessee right now. So they convinced me. I think I'm going to go with Tennessee. And so I think Hooker's playing great. I think it's at Tennessee. You don't know if Bryce Young's going to play. Love to see a little Josh Heupel success. And so I'm going to pick Tennessee to cover this. I see them somehow coming out with a win here, and that really pushes them forward for the rest of the season. So,
yeah, Bryce Young practiced today and was somewhat limited, but they said he's making progress, so we'll see. I think my mind's kind of changed in the last 24 hours, but I still think Tennessee has a really good shot to cover with or without Bryce Young. I think Tennessee's going to be able to keep up with them scoring, and if Jalen Milroe's in, no disrespect to him, but I think they definitely have the better quarterback in Hooker, and Hyatt's really good. Wright's good running the ball. I'm going to take Tennessee here and hope that Bryce Young doesn't play for the record's sake. But our next game is another good one in the Big 12. TCU is favored by 3.5 over Oklahoma State.
All right, so this is always tough for me. Obviously, outside of Texas, Oak State is my second least favorite team in college football. But Spencer Sanders has been surprising me. He has actually been playing really well this year. And shout out to OSU's defensive line. These dudes are my age and still playing. But they are actually really, really good. I think they get a good rush on Max Duggan. And I think that OSU has the size and speed to keep up with Quentin Johnston. Thankful to him for, the amount of yards he put up the other week. Shout out to Prize Picks.
Yeah, big shout out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But I think OSU wins this game, and I think they cover.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Johnny. So just like Johnny, it's not necessarily Oklahoma State, the football team, or the university. It's Oklahoma State, the fans. That every time OU loses or is even struggling in the first quarter of a game or something, we have these annoying little buzzing little stupid people on social media, in our ears that are, you guys lost, go Popes. And they just.
Your mom's an OSU fan.
Then they
What in the world was that?
you guys lost in Texas. Go Popes. And they're not even paying attention to the game that they're playing because they care more if we lose than if they win.
Mm-hmm.
I hate them. Anyway, I think OSU covers because I respect Mike Gundy. I respect their football team. I don't respect their fans. That's exactly what they sound like, by the way, too.
Well, man, Johnny stole my thunder of what I've been preaching the last couple weeks rolling into this. But OSU's got just some 35-year-old defensive linemen. Mm-hmm. They played football with Joe's dad back in the day. They're on their 10th year of eligibility. Just my constant joke of OSU's D-line is too old to be playing college football, which helps them play so well. I don't know how they finagled the system to get 10 years of eligibility, but they've done it, and it's working. Good job. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but OSU's defense has been really good. And like it or not, Spencer Sanders has been really good so far this season. We haven't seen typical Spencer Sanders. We haven't seen him crash and burn yet or lose it all in the big moment. And so I think OSU's going to win. I think they're going to cover. I think TCU kind of had their coming out party against OU. No one really knew what they were going to do offensively, and I think OSU has enough tape on them now to see how to stop them. I saw a tweet about OSU's defense that in the fourth quarter of every game they've played, defensively they've stopped either a turnover or a fourth down punt every single series that they've had on defense. So their defense is just playing really, really good. So I'm going to go with OSU.
I'm going to go opposite of you guys. I'm going to take TCU. I do kind of opposite of what you guys are saying too. I do like OSU. I hope they win every game they play that's not against us. But I think Max Duggan's efficiency is really key in this game. OSU's defenses kind of look shaky. They gave up 31 to Texas Tech. They gave up 600-something yards to Central Michigan. And they've improved since then, but I like TCU, just the playmakers they have, Miller out of the backfield, and like we said, Quentin Johnston had a monster week for us and won us some money, so I'm gonna stay true there. But I like TCU to advance to 6-0. Currently they're 4-0-1 against the spread, so 4 wins and a push. So I look for them to keep that streak going this week. Now we're going to transition to our wild card games of the week, and Johnny, you're up first.
All right. So my wild card game of the week this week is the Michigan-Penn State game. I'm excited to see these two Big Ten teams compete against each other, but I think Michigan is just a better team. Blake Corum, I would say, has had the best season as a running back this year so far in college football. So shout out Blake Corum. You're putting in work right now. And I think that he has a massive game against Penn State, and Michigan wins and covers.
Yeah. Okay. So my wild card of the week is Mississippi State and Kentucky. I think this is a big game. It'll be a fun one to watch, be a good one. But I am gonna go again for the second week in a row with my guy Mike Leach. I think Mississippi State covers. It's 6.5 favorite. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's it. I think they easily win by a touchdown or more. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna pick from the Clemson Florida State game this week. Clemson is a 3.5-point favorite, and that's who I'm gonna roll with. I'm gonna roll with Clemson. They're undefeated right now. They have a defense, that was still recruited by Brent Venables, which makes me feel a little bit better as an OU fan, seeing that success that they're having. They had a win against Wake Forest and a win against NC State. and those were the last 2 losses that Florida State had. So Florida State's coming off 2 losses to both those teams. Clemson beat both those teams, which gives me confidence. They've been putting up a lot of points as well. Johnny, help me out here. Their quarterback's name, DJ Ungonlelele.
Nope.
Dang it.
DJ Uyoung. Say it with me. Uyoung.
Uyangalele.
Yes, he got it.
Joe, shut up. No one asked you. Go ahead, Johnny.
DJ Uyangalele.
I know.
Uyangalele.
It's fine.
Uyangalele.
Just say
Yeah,
DJ.
hey, let's be my dad and
My
say
boy.
it wrong on purpose.
No, it's not on purpose. I'm trying.
This dude can't talk.
My boy DJ
Yes.
is playing well. So I'm going to pick him and the Clemson Tigers to beat Florida State this week.
For my game, sticking out west, USC at Utah.
Whatever.
I think this is going to be a really good matchup, and I think the defenses they're gonna battle, and it might be low scoring than people think. But I just trust Caleb Williams more than I trust Cameron Rising in crunch time. And for whatever reason, Alex Grinch's defense swarms around, and they're able to be in the right spot at the right time, and they force a lot of turnovers. When you factor in the Williams to Addison connection and how Travis Dye's running the ball, I like USC to cover the 3.5.
Wow, solid take. Hey, I will mention right before we get off here the updated standings based off of last week.
Yeah, go ahead and read those.
We almost missed this with Joe. I've officially been dethroned. I had the lead since week 1.
Thank God.
Since week 1, I was on a 6-week winning streak. No one had my number. But this last week, Joe got the lead because he picked Texas over OU. So Joe is now in the lead. He's 13-10. Noah and I are both 12-11. So Noah and I are tied 1 game behind Joe. And Johnny caught up some ground here. Johnny is 10-13. So
Joe,
I'll just say
Joe got the lead because he made an
Joe,
educated
congratulations. Pick. But I feel fine losing the lead knowing that I didn't pick Texas. Even with the way the game went, I didn't pick Texas whenever OU's
I would
an
feel
option.
fine.
I'm okay
I would
with
feel
that.
fine. You going to keep talking? I would feel fine just lose if OU proved me wrong. If OU proved me wrong, I'd be just fine with that. But I just made the educated pick. And you guys can make fun of me about it if you want, but at the end of the day, who's leading?
I believe I picked against Texas to start the year, or the second week of the year, and you all picked Texas. So
That was a Texas-Alabama game. That's not the same as Red River. He picked Texas over OU.
Hey,
Completely different.
it's what he thought was going to happen, and it did. So we stand Joe being in first. We absolutely do.
Come on.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and be on the lookout for our Kansas postgame show on Saturday night. If you're interested in calling in, shoot us a DM and we'll get you the info to get you on. Make sure to tune in for our next midweek podcast with special guest Riley Nolan. Thanks for listening. We'll see you.